You've selected a show from the Podcast Jukebox, a DIY podcast network.
It's Will Shawn Podcast. The internet cried out for 2 more blowhards, and they courageously answered that call. Armed with the weapon of wit, each week they're joined by guests to discuss movies, television, pop culture, and anything else that's pissing them off. Take it away, boys.
I'm Will Link.
And I'm Sean David.
This is Will Shawn Podcast.
With the entire cast of the Jersey Shore. How you doing, Will?
So I'm getting out of town. Go back to Long Island for a wedding. As per usual, this is causing much stress in my life.
Because you normally don't go back this time of year.
No, the last couple of years I've only gone home at Christmas for a couple of days.
Yeah.
But now it's like I made a big deal. I'm coming home for a week. I'm going to be home a full week. I'm going to see everybody.
Yeah.
Guess what? I have no time to see anybody. And the people are upset.
What you got to do is next time, you just got to say, I'm doing a bar night. Everyone come see me.
It's tough for everybody now.
I don't
because
care.
Everybody's got kids.
Fuck them.
There's
Get a babysitter.
All my Long Island friends.
You flew out from the West Coast to see them. They can get a babysitter for 3 hours.
All my Long Island friends have at least 2 children.
All right. The older one can watch the younger one.
All my LA friends, no children. And yet all of us are miserable.
All right. So the grass is always greener.
Yeah. All right. So I'm doing that. So that should be stressful.
Okay.
You know, it's not like I need a proper vacation. I'm going on a proper vacation in September.
Yeah, going to see family is never vacation.
No, everyone's like, oh, you'll have a fun time. I said, I guess.
Yeah. But hopefully the subway will be working.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be stranded somewhere.
In the Q train.
What's going on in the world of Will Shawn Podcast?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Want to make sure that you are all following us on Twitter, liking us on Facebook, subscribing to us on iTunes, giving us those star ratings, leaving comments. See, unlike most podcasts, we bother you at the top of the show, not at the end of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I know you can do that 15 seconds, skip forward, but, you know, at least we don't harass you with 10 minutes of Mark Maron, you know, self-pleasure. So you can sit through the ads. Jukebox Podcast Network. Please make sure that you are checking out the other shows on their fine family of podcasts.
Yes, including their flagship show, Off the Cuffs.
Yes, the premier Long Island-based BDSM and kink podcast.
Yes.
Are you going to be a guest on Off the Cuffs while you're out there?
No, probably not.
You missed a chance.
I mean, I guess anything could happen.
Well, you know, all right.
But I will see Dick Wound, the host of that podcast.
The Minimus Maximus, the cult that his family was part of, was that the cult from Wild Wild Country?
I don't think so.
Because they were in Oregon, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't think.
I gotta go back and listen to that episode.
No, I don't think it was the Wild Wild Country cult.
All right.
Have you watched Wild Wild Country?
I started episode 1. It's fine.
Yeah.
I'd rather just go on Wikipedia and read what happened.
And who is our sponsor this week?
Mother's Day is right around the corner, and what is the perfect gift for the one who gave you life? Fruit of the Womb underwear. For how else can you show your mom that you love her but by buying her a special pair of underwear that she will never forget every time she slips them on? Fruit of the Womb for the one who gave you life.
You know, this is going to be the first Mother's Day in 12 years that I've spent it with my mother.
Oh.
So maybe I should...
You know you got to go all out. You can't just do a card this year. Probably have to get her something.
Oh, we got to figure this out.
Yeah.
This is going to be a problem.
Get her one of those, like, lady plungers.
Is that a thing?
I don't know. They have lady pens.
Lady plunger? I don't know.
For when you have to clean out a very dainty poo.
On a show today, Kanye West. Oh, Christ. This guy's causing all sorts of trouble. We will discuss. The Infinity Wars. We fought in them. Now we're here to report back.
Infinity World War I.
Infinity World War I. Getting ready for Infinity World War II. And, look, there's a lot going on in my life. There's a lot of problems right now. They're all happening at once. I don't like it. I've got some things to say about them. We will discuss. But first, we are very excited to have with us today terrific actress, Nicky Endres.
Hello!
Hey!
Coming in hot.
Yes, as one must. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on the show. We always like to start with the guest's origin story. So, where are you from originally?
I am from a little town in Wisconsin.
Ah.
Yes. Although, I guess, because as an Asian American, I like many other Asian Americans where are you from? No. Where are you really
Where are your parents from?
Where are your parents from? Well, my parents are from Wisconsin, but I was born, in my case, because I am adopted, I was born in Seoul, South Korea.
Oh, okay.
And so I was adopted when I was 5 months old. But yeah, my parents are native Wisconsinites, and so I am too.
So they adopted you you were in Korea, and I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know how foreign adoption works. We're gonna break it down. Foreign adoption.
It was like a mail order superstar catalog, and they're just like, well, who wants the prettiest, smartest, funniest baby?
Have you been to Korea? Have you gone to Seoul?
No.
Is that something you'd like to do?
It's somewhere on my list, but you know what? I am a little intimidated. And it's so ironic. When I moved to LA, it's the first major metropolitan area with like a large Korean and Korean American population. And I thought, oh, well, that's cool. I go to the DMV, like downtown, right? And the Korean lady like asked me in Korean for help. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't speak Korean. Just
I'm from Wisconsin.
Right? I'm from Wisconsin. And she gave me the meanest glare and started like going off on me in Korean, and I was just so put off. I'm like, wait a minute, is that just her frustration because she's at the DMV and nobody can ever be happy at the DMV? Or did this have something to do with like our Koreanness and me not being Korean enough? So I have this conversation with other Korean Americans like, oh yeah, it can be very, there's a lot of, identity pride in Koreanness, and for some, not all, but for some Asian Americans, there is. It's important to celebrate and keep alive, Asian languages, cultures, traditions, ideas. Even if you're not necessarily immediately affected by them being an American, it's just representation, cultural representation.
Yeah. Now, growing up in a small town, Wisconsin, were you the only Korean child? Were there other people in your class? Like, what was that like?
I may as well have been. Like, I know numerically I was not the only one, but we, like, all 6 of us felt each, like, the only one. My sister's also Korean and adopted. She's not my biological sister, but she's also Korean.
Okay.
And then, like, we have, her best friend is not adopted. Yeah. But another one of our classmates were, and it was one of those things, it's like, it was just so very conservative and white and small town that any person of color, like all 7 of the Asians were the same person.
Yeah.
And all 18 of the blacks were all the same person. And so it was like one of those things. I had a math teacher, I think, one time, and she got me confused with the other Asian kid in class. She's like, oh, so I saw you in the newspaper, you scored that goal. And
that math test.
Right? What? No, that's the other one.
No, but did the white kids, did you find, because they were... Did you find that like some white kids were just like attracted to you because you were different, or like they were attracted to the culture?
We have some derogatory terms for that. Yeah. So it's yellow fever, or in gay culture specifically, rice queens, and I've become intimately familiar with both of them, yes. Yeah. But growing up, I would say, they were, I had some friends, mostly artistic types. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't so much a fetishization or objectification of an Asian stereotype, but that they like martial arts, or they really like Asian philosophy. And it was just,
anime or something.
Yeah, or anime, some sort of thing that, is... Eastern in origin. Mm-hmm. And so then they were curious if, I was into it. And then here I was, like, the whitest fucking Asian.
You're like, fuck you, I like Eminem and Monster Truck rallies.
Right. I was like, whatever, like, I'm just so basic with my Little Mermaid and unicorn bullshit. But,
So now, at what point did you get interested in acting?
Oh, ever since I can remember, for sure. Yeah, it was...
So you've always been like a natural performer?
Yes. Yeah, yes. Yes.
I mean, I can tell you seem so shy and reserved in this interview.
I was once upon a time, but when I came out as trans a few years ago professionally, and that was kind of like the last sort of coming out gate, because there's many sort of ways people come out, and some folks compartmentalize that into different kind of safe zones where it's okay to be out or whatever. And in my case, it's like I came out as non-binary, trans feminine when I was 30 years old. And the funny thing is, and a lot of queer people, a lot of trans people will have a similar story to report. It's like, when I was 2, like, I knew I wasn't cisgender. I knew that even though I was assigned male at birth and raised as a boy, like, that didn't fit for me. However, it was like one of those things. I didn't feel like a total girl either. I was always kind of non-binary. I called myself a girl boy, because I was thinking in terms of color. You have blue, green in the color wheel. I mean, it could be teal, it could be turquoise, but it's both blue and green. Maybe a little bit more blue than green. And so I told myself a girl boy, and because I got lucky having a younger sister, I stole all her nightgowns, all her dresses, all her ribbons, like all her like stuff, and then I made my own like costumes. And I mean, now they were costumes. It was drag. It wasn't me actually being my sister. Yeah. It was like a hyperbole version.
So now you said only a couple years ago you came out as trans.
Yeah.
So had you moved out to LA already at that point? Or?
Oh, yeah. I'd been in LA for 10, I don't know how long it's been. It's been about 13 or 14 years now. So, yeah, it would have been 10 years.
Okay.
10 or 9 or 10 years, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And coming from Wisconsin, this should be an obvious question, but I guess the acting scene in Wisconsin wasn't enough for you to...
No, I will hand it to them. I was lucky that in my small town there were a few strong community leaders who were big into arts, music, performance. So we did at least have, despite being, in Wisconsin, like stereotype, and my experience is very true, it's football and beer. Yeah. Like that's it. Like more than cheese, it's just football and beer. And fortunately in my community there were some very strong advocates for the arts. So even though the community sensibility was still pizza and beer, we did have these like little oases of like we had like our band was a big deal. Our theater program wasn't necessarily a big deal, but it brought a lot of joy to the community, and people like to go. They made money on the tickets, so it's that.
Oh wow, the first theater in history to make money on the tickets.
Right, well, they broke even on the tickets.
All right.
But our community theater was pretty strong, thanks to again a few community leaders, and I guess I just got started there, and I don't know. It's one of those things that it just feels so natural. I didn't really think about it. It's kind of always felt like
you're like, this is where I belong.
Yeah, just a self-fulfilling prophecy or whatever.
So you come out here, and how's what was like the first job or first thing when you came out here that you booked acting wise? Like how was the start of all this?
It was all network. People say it's all networking.
Yeah.
It was networking. How did I find it? I found a random class. I got into a class, and in that class was someone else who was going to this workshop, and I went to this workshop, and the teacher was this casting director who was married to a manager who needed a person of color, and so I got in the manager, and I interned, and then I got to know how the breakdowns work, and it was just one of those things, right? And then before I know it, I'm managing a theater, and I meet all these other acting teachers, and then one of them becomes my mentor, and one of our renters I become personal friends with, and then he's my physical trainer, and we collaborate, and it's just one of those things.
It's kind of, we talk about that a lot with acting and everything, but every field is this way. Everything in life is just you've met some the non-entertainment related job I have, my boring day job that I have now is I got it through my ex-girlfriend's mother's coworker's sister-in-law, and it's what?
Yeah, and no matter what,
how does this happen?
No matter what, I would say no matter what you do, whatever profession you're in, even if you don't think of it, you're doing networking and sales. That's every job. Even an accountant, it's sales. You got to sell someone on the fact that you're going to do their taxes better than the guy next to you. As an attorney, you got to sell them that your firm can handle their case. It's always all networking and sales.
And I think you're onto something, because I think maybe by virtue of the entertainment industry being largely spectacle, we don't take it for granted in the way other industries might not think about it every moment of every day.
Yep.
We're always wondering how pretty we look and how funny we are.
But it's still sales. You got to convince them that you're the person for the job, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So what kind of roles have you done out here? Like what kind of parts?
Right. Oh well, you know what? To answer, because I didn't actually answer
That's
the first
true.
question. I'll use that as a segue. My first acting gig, I had the workshop teacher. I was helping him in a casting session as a reader, auditioning other actors, because it was his office that was casting this short film, and I, out of ignorance, not out of trying to be like a Slytherin about it.
I think I see where this is going.
I was just like acting the read because I didn't know that your job as a reader is just be efficient, read the shit, and let the actors do the work. I was like acting with people. Yeah. So then the producers, who were also the writers and directors, so like big, power decision making, they're like, oh, we want that one instead. So, and I was like this, right? I was like this. They were seeing all these like cis, heteronormative, white, jockey, very, because it was cast. It was like kind of Lethal Weapon-y sort of casting. Okay. So I was thinking, okay, so they're gonna go for like the funny, the straight guy, the white guy, the black guy, or whatever.
Chris.
Yeah, well, and here I was, Chris, as we will talk about, and here I am, and I was a femi gay boy at the time, or that's how I was presenting gender-wise, and professionally, so I'm this, like, skinny little twink of, like, a femi Asian boy, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna play this, like, cop who's, like, hardcore and like has an attitude and shit. I'm like, because I'm a character actor, why not, right? So my first casting was totally against type, and fortunately for me, that kind of gave me the confidence then to kind of explore just as a character actor, whatever, what can I do? And as someone who looks like I do, I can't really afford to be picky. It's like, oh no, I only do ninjas. You know what I mean? It's like. So I would say I do tend to go for the comedy, I feel. Yeah. Because of my largeness, my theater training, my timing, kind of just the collaboration with other people in the moment. It's just kind of where I feel my strength is. But, I've played like pirates, vampires, cops, tour guides, assistants, secretaries. I mean, the gamut. It's just character work, I guess.
There you go. Now, how is, as you said, you came out as trans a few years ago. How have you seen the landscape change a lot as far as with casting and gender norms and things like that? Can you speak to maybe how that experience has been, or what changes have occurred? Because I got to imagine, even for the casting directors, it's kind of like a new world that they're trying to navigate as well, and try to figure out what the best way to serve everyone and diversity and diversify and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah, you're absolutely right, and it's been fantastic. I mean, I've been in professional in the industry for over 10 years. So
you gotta own that.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things. It's like, because when I came out here, I'm just like, if nothing happens in 10 years, think about a different career. But I'm like, but I'm niche casting, so whatever. But then also what I just bring that up as a numerical thing, because I don't have 60 years in the industry where I can report on this. But from my point of view, it seems very rapid. Like 2 years, 3 years. It went from, we don't know what trans is, to straight up, I just had an audition last week where they're like 20 to 30, any ethnicity, also any gender, and specifically they stated including trans, non-binary, gender fluid.
Oh.
They know
no Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah, Irish need not apply.
The Casting Society of America did actually have a trans-inclusive seminar that I attended, with casting directors, well-known casting directors who were there specifically to broaden their cognitive paradigms in terms of how to most respectfully and inclusively talk about it. Because when we talk about people's identities, academically we can be kind of, I don't know, logical about it, but on the personal level, because it's how people, who we are, it can be a really sensitive topic for very many people. And I think that's where people get confused with, oh, it's just being politically correct. It's not about politics. It's about caring about people. Do you care that you're not shitting on this person when you really mean them no harm? Or do you want to do them harm intentionally because your privilege allows you to not care about it from your own point of view? You know what I mean? That's where I draw the difference. So it means a lot to me that even so shortly after, we're talking like 1 year after being a part of this this workshop in inclusion and diversity, specifically for gender nonconforming and trans performers, that and Breakdown Services also, to their credit, was involved.
And Breakdown Services are the people that actually literally take a script and they're the ones that are writing the descriptions of what the characters are for the casting people.
It's a private company, but it has long been the de facto sort of method in the industry. But it's like the breakdowns. It's like a trademark thing. It's like we call tissues Kleenex because Kleenex are Band-Aid. Right. It's like one of those things. But it's basically, like in other industries, you have job postings in the newspaper or on monster.com or whatever. In the entertainment industry, which I joke 50% is maybe one of the few industries where discrimination is tacitly part of the hiring process.
Well, they're the ones that'll be like looking for 18 to 20 female, cute but doesn't know it. Yeah, that's how they describe it.
Yeah, that's every role.
The girl next door but doesn't know it.
I saw the original breakdown for the show Friends when I was interning for an agent in Chicago, and it straight up said these people need to be good looking but not too beautiful, because they wanted them to be hot enough you want to watch them but relatable enough that you feel like you would know them.
Like, I'm a Chandler.
Right?
Yeah, but that's what they got though. That's what they did. They succeeded in that.
But the fact that they actually had to say that, and that agents have to make those judgment calls. I mean, I have seen a breakdown and emailed an agent before, and I'm just like, I want to do this. I can do this. This is so in my skill set. And he's like, you're too pretty. I'm like, it's called makeup, dude.
I can take it off.
Makeup.
I feel like I would be the worst nightmare casting person, because I feel like I would just be bringing in all the weirdos, and they'd be like, these people no, this woman's beautiful, and she's like some like crazy looking person.
Your dating life is any guide.
I mean, if my dating life is any guide, that's what it would be. And it'd be like, this is what I think's beautiful, and they're like, leave Hollywood.
You know what? If the client's talent can justify it, you'd be a powerhouse agent. Because it's that kind of thinking outside the box. But, the client has to have the talent that you believe in, that they're actually going to book it and make you both a lot of money. But that kind of thinking. I mean, my first manager really was good at thinking outside the box.
Well, you should be a talent manager.
No.
You know what? Honestly, I might as well. I gotta shake things up in my life. This is gonna be the new thing with the podcast. I just take guests, and now I'm gonna manage their careers straight into the ground. And it does seem like, though, there are, you see, I was watching last night ads for, Ryan Murphy's got a new show. It seems like they're...
What?
Who knew? But specifically with a lot of trans actors in it. And it is something that you are seeing more and more. I was on your website.
Yeah.
And I did notice, though, you will play male roles, but not if you have to cut your hair.
Yes, and that's so much of the shit I say I think is best in person, because that's exactly it. I'm cool with all genders, and I consider myself a character actor. And I mean, there are cisgender actors who play other genders. Why can't someone who's actually gender fluid, who's lived my life as both genders and genders in between,
you hear that crying game?
Yeah, but the thing is, this hair, and I've always cosmetology is like my second love after acting. And I'm not licensed, but yes, I do hair for free. It's not illegal, everyone. It's not illegal. And I do my own more than anyone else's. But look at this. Come on. This is like a $400 dye job, or coloring, because it's a coloring. But where I'm going with this though is it's I don't want to cut my hair. But other than that, I'm good. That's my only hard role.
What if it's the role of a lifetime? What if Martin Scorsese comes and says, I need you to be the star of my new film, but we have to shave your head?
You gotta go full G.I. Jane.
Oh,
It's Marty. Marty's on the phone. He needs an answer.
This is how much. I love hair. It's a hard. No, I would say having the contingencies. Things written in paper, on paper.
He's making
having a legal consultant that I trust who has a good track record.
Yeah.
I do pretty much anything.
I don't know. He's making the Departed 2 Irish Goodbye.
Do you?
What is with you shitting on the Irish this evening? My grandmama was Irish.
I have an Irish name.
Yeah, me too.
I'm allowed
somewhere.
Do a lot of trans performers play like male parts or female parts, or do you think that a lot of them like try to stick to one or the other? I guess. Well,
times are changing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a fair question.
Because I also noticed on your website that you said you use any and all pronouns
I do,
to be
yes.
referred to as, including one I have to admit I didn't know, which was Z.
Yes, I believe that comes from, and to be honest, no one's ever used that with me. I just include it for like search engine optimization.
Okay.
But like I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it. I mean, if because I kind of consider myself a gender fluid mix of things. I don't have the kind of dysphoria a lot of my more binary trans friends have when being misgendered.
Okay.
And so for instance, people who've known me for a long time, even I look femme to the nines, and they'll still refer to me as he, him, because they knew me for 30 years as a he, him, and 5 years as, I'm 35, everyone, FYI.
We don't do math on this podcast.
Well, I'm Asian. I'm going to be 27 for 90 years. But, so it's like, and I guess because my identity is more fluid, I don't really take it personally. I don't get hurt by that. But pronouns are important,
Yeah.
They're extensions of our names. So what I tell people, because they're like, oh no, I don't know if I can do it. It's like, one, you can, and two, it's about whether or not you care.
Yeah.
Do you care or not? I'm not judging you. I'm not calling you an asshole or a saint. I'm just saying that's about you, dude. And
If you care enough.
If you care enough to try.
You could, yeah.
I mean, we forget people's names all the time. We forget people's pronouns too, but instead of guessing a wrong one, I'm going to call you Jake. What's your name again? What's your pronoun? Yeah. I forgot. I'm sorry. Whatever. And at least in my experience and the folks that I've talked to, mostly non-binary, to be fair, I speak for the few people that I talk to personally and myself, I feel more respected if you don't know and you straight up ask, because it shows that you're, as the millennials say, woke enough.
Well,
to...
you're showing you care and that you want to get it right.
Yeah,
which is what's important,
and that you're aware that there's more than two.
Yeah.
Just knowing that there's more than he and she, more than just male and female, even if, only, 4%, 2% of the population don't identify as cis or heteronormative. It's like, just knowing that exists shows that you have an expansiveness of mind. And, I think that's more important than anything.
Before we move on to the pop culture stuff, so what are you working on now? What have you got going?
Well, I just auditioned, three? I auditioned way for a lot more things in a shorter amount of period than it's like, feast or famine, right? So, fingers crossed on those. But I'm working on developing a YouTube channel, and this has been in the works for like 3 years. And one, because I have another conventional job that eats my time, but YouTube itself has changed very rapidly in the last few years, according to my preliminary research. So my kind of ideas in terms of structuring the content and the release, and whether or not I want to try to turn that into a money making or some kind of at least cost offsetting. I don't expect to make a lot of money, or if it's just a pure kind of extension of my current entertainment career, where it's like I'm going to anticipate losing money on equipment and on time and not making any money, but it's important because it's supporting other things that I'm doing professionally. And it's, for me, what's most important is just the content needs to feel professional. I don't need to make, pro money,
right?
But it needs to reflect the fact that, if you choose to engage me, hire me or just work with me or collaborate with me for free, that I'm bringing a professional attitude.
Right.
I have training, I have expertise, I have experience, I show up on time, I respect people's, I have an attitude.
We
I
want it
guess,
to be a
about that, yeah.
good and accurate representation and an extension of who you are and what you can bring to working with other people.
Exactly. Yeah. But I'm excited about it. It's
This is gonna be good. A lot of thought gone into it. So if the people want to find out more about that, want to find out more about you, I know I mentioned you had a website before. Where can the people go? Where can we send them?
just Google my name. I tried to make it easy. Cause I'm easy.
There you go.
It's Nicky, Nicky, Endres, Endres. It's deceptively phonetic.
Perfect. So just Google that. You'll get to Nikki's website, which we will have a link to up on our Facebook page. So you've probably already been there by now. Kanye West. You want to talk about Kanye West, Nikki?
I think
Does anybody really want to talk about Kanye West?
it's like just feeding the me monster. You know what I mean?
So,
It's a positive reinforcement. No, we don't want to.
We don't want to, don't look at him.
he was off of Twitter
Yeah.
for a minute because he was having reportedly mental health issues.
At that point, that's what the after Life of Pablo came out. He went on this Twitter rampage before Life of Pablo. Then that album came out, and then a few months later, he disappeared again off of Twitter. Did he tour the album? I can't remember. I think he did tour the album, and then it started coming out that Kanye was stepping away and taking a break, and there were reports of some mental health concerns, the details of which are very under wraps. But now he's back. All of a sudden, he resurfaced, and boy, did he resurface.
Everybody was excited. Kanye's back.
Yeah.
And he's sending all these weird, vague tweets.
Like
and
he just
then-
read like a philosophy textbook. Yeah.
And then he went full MAGA.
Yeah.
He went full MAGA. He's going on about his love of Donald Trump. Him and Donald Trump tweeting back and forth at each other.
Bro tweeting each other. Donald Jr. jumped in on it. Ivanka was there.
Somebody brought up a friend of ours on Twitter, Jared Garcia, had a tweet that I thought was great, and it was about the movie Network, and he said that Kanye West is our Howard Beale, and the meeting he had with Trump in 2016 is the scene where Howard Beale meets with Ned Beatty, and he tells him the primal forces of nature, and I think that's right. I think like Trump is. I mean.
So you're saying that Trump is aware of what's going on and was the instigator? I feel like the roles were reversed in that.
Trump knew he
Was screaming at the Saudis?
He needed the support of a key black ally, and he went for Kanye West because Kanye West is clearly somebody, and this isn't a black or white or whatever thing. This is a rich thing who can't see outside their own experiences and outside their own life and worldview. And this is a man who lives in a bubble. He lives in a mansion in Calabasas. Like, he is not want for anything.
And everyone calls him a genius.
Yeah, and everyone says he's a genius. But things are getting really bad because then he went on this thing about slavery.
Oh, this is the newest twist in the
newest
saga.
twist. Have you heard this?
I haven't.
Where he basically said, I mean, I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but it basically was, black people were slaves for 400 years. That sounds almost like a choice.
Like,
If only the viewers, the listeners could see Nicky's face.
The fuck?
Yes.
so he said this in an interview on TMZ Live. He was in the TMZ newsroom. And one of the TMZ what's his name? I'm sorry. One of the TMZ guys.
Yeah, I won't watch
Hold on,
TMZ.
I have it right here. One of the TMZ people went Van Lathan, who is African American, right up on the show, just started yelling back at him and calling him out on all this bullshit, and saying, "Listen,
Good.
you are betraying a lot of people. You are hurting a lot of people. That it's easy for you to say that you aren't affected by a lot of these forces, but for most people that are fans of your music and appreciate you and love what you do." The policies of this administration have caused real life harm to a lot of people. It's worth going and listening to this. And I'm not doing it justice, but he really called him out on the bullshit there. On
Good.
This is like
And then you're hurting a lot of people with your words.
I saw somebody on MSNBC today basically say, a statement like that is like the slavery equivalent of like Holocaust denial.
So I was listening to a podcast today, kind of catching up on this, and they were saying this would be the equivalent. This was on Channel 33. If all of a sudden Steven Spielberg or some beloved, beloved artist with whom you have a very formative relationship with their works.
Yeah.
So it would be like if Steven Spielberg came out and started going off on a Holocaust denial rant, and like how people feel so hurt and betrayed by those words.
And now here's the thing: I throw this to you, Nicky.
Yes.
Are we really surprised by any of this? Are we really surprised that Kanye West, somebody who is obsessed with celebrity and notoriety, would suddenly be
and being a provocateur?
Yeah, and be like, I love Trump. He's great.
Buy my album.
No, you know what? That's what's so fucking sad. Not surprised at all. If anything, surprised I didn't think of it first. You know what I mean? Because it makes so much sense.
You could have gone straight Kim Jong-un.
It made sick sense. It's You know what though? What I was surprised about though, I did read something recently. Kanye, I guess, screen grabbed a message that he got from John Legend.
Yeah.
And in it, John was servicing his ego.
Yeah.
And Kanye knew it. I'm like, oh, I guess therapy paid off. So are you still a narcissist? Or like, how bad is your narcissism when you can say, oh, I get it. My weakness is my inflated ego and my legacy. And I have to watch out for sycophants either reinforcing that or trying to use it to get something out of me. So it's like, I admire, not admire, wrong. Let me reword that. I am impressed that he's more intelligent than I gave him credit for. And I'm actually, kind of proud of him for that moment. Because it was like, wow, and I don't follow him, so, my experience pool is small, but I'm like, I didn't think Kanye could be that self-aware.
I think it's very self-aware. Also, the John Legend thing was great because at first he prefaces by saying, Kanye, we all know that you're our greatest artist, because he knows that he's got to stoke his ego.
Yeah.
And then he also states, and he tried to explain, he was trying to school him on some things that he thought Kanye was misstating. And he goes, and by the way, since I know you're going to screen grab and tweet this, remind everyone my new album comes out.
Oh, yeah. I mean, his sense of humor.
Yeah.
But John Legend's brilliant.
No, and I don't think Kanye, I think there's so many, okay, it's not, Kim Kardashian then had to get involved in this, and she was on Ellen on Friday looking very uncomfortable discussing all of this, saying it's not a mental health thing. Kanye is not an idiot. I think that for him, he thinks so highly of his own opinions. He's aware of what he's doing, but I think he's also bought into his bullshit completely.
Yeah.
So he can have both thoughts at the same time.
He dropped 2 tracks this weekend.
Poopity scoopity.
Yeah, one that made no sense. One that was like just nonsense.
So one of the
and another one that wasn't it then like featured on Westworld in the same weekend.
You have a point though, because I mean, I'm forgive me, maybe I misspoke, because it's not a matter of intelligence at all, but it's just the scope, right? The willingness to I guess think outside of.
So unlike Donald Trump, Donald Trump, I think is just purely reactive and reactionary, and just exists in a completely transactional, knee-jerk, what's right in front of his face type of mentality. Well, I think Kanye is much smarter than that, and can actually see what he's doing, but in the same way doesn't care. Or
is that worse though? Does that make him worse? Is the question?
I don't know. I don't want, and I'm just spitballing. I'm not like, I don't want to like psychoanalyze what he's doing, but there are these flashes, like you said, of clarity, where all of a sudden you go, oh, are you? And then that's what makes it so confusing and slippery. Is this another performance? Because in his last roundabout before before Life of Pablo came out, he all of a sudden it was Cosby innocent. And that's
right. He did tweet Cosby innocent.
Yeah. Here's the thing that I love about all this, by the way. It's the complete mental breakdown and pearl clutching that's going on with all of Kanye's fans. Because I like Kanye's music. I've listened to it. I have all the albums. I enjoy it. I recognize it's not for me. I like Kanye as much as like a white Jewish kid should like Kanye, because some are a little too much. It's like the veil gets lifted, but there was something always about him that bothered me, and and it's this craziness. Well, not the right word, but this Kanye-ness of him, But watching all of his fans who have put so much mental and emotional stake into Kanye the artist just losing it now that he's completely betraying them is a little amusing, I must say. Because like you knew what you were getting. Like this is
that's why I don't really know how. I mean, I get where they feel it's a betrayal,
and how the right is now embracing it.
But that's the other thing. I mean, I don't know. I mean. Clearly, we're a group of people who think that the current administration are the villains in this scenario, and Kanye is now like in league with the villains. But I mean,
his heel turn, if you want to use wrestling terms.
Yeah, I mean, well, how does this affect his next album? So
that's a
how
question.
Does it affect Torso? Does it affect it or does it not? Because I'll tell you what. If there's some, I mean, we talked about this very recently on the podcast about artists who like they do something you disagree with politically or something like that. Like, do you still follow them? And you know, I don't know. I know for a fact that there are artists who have very differing political views than me, but I like their stuff, and I don't necessarily think their work is overtly political, and I still like the stuff, even if privately they're like, you know, kill all poor people or something like that.
That's a really good thing it's so interesting because I feel like I make a distinction between fans as true fanatics versus a consumer who enjoys somebody's product or service, right? I mean, I can't really say I think I've only experienced fandom like once. And like I am obsessed with the Xena Warrior Princess. Like that character and that world. And like I'm so aware of how kind of tongue in cheek and like of the 90s it was.
But that's a big fandom.
Well, and I worship it like in the meta, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's ahead of its time. Oh, how ironic that, you know, we've slipped back in terms of like sexism and the things that feminism is trying to address, like in the mainline conversation, and yet we've moved ahead with, you know, LGBT issues, and back then it all had to be code. It's like, oh, it's just such a weird reversal, and and like lives in people's memories. But you know, and it's one of those things where like I want to believe the best of the production team, of everyone who made that show happen on my television screen. So my first instinct is just to assume positive intent and like defend my love and what it means to me. And so from the empathetic point of view, I do feel like, you know, when we talk about, you know, the fans, the diehard fans, truly, they'll take several bullets before they give up. That, you know, oh, they're part of, you know, the Bayhive, or, you know, or Kanye, or, you know, the Taylor Swift fans or whatever. It's like some people can do no wrong, and it's, I think the power of that fandom, it's like worshiping a deity, right? Like the more kind of, you know, zealots you have who will believe, it's the belief.
But exactly,
right?
so it's all these diehard Kanye fans. Imagine if Beyonce tweeted at Kanye like, "Yo, I'm with you, brother." Imagine. So what happens with that?
I want that. I don't want that to happen, but I want that to happen just to see Twitter explode.
But that's the thing. It's like, where does that? At what level does
Some men just want to watch
But at what point does your identification with this person who doesn't know about you and has it's the same way people kind of blindly worship sports teams. It's like, here's a collection of men that happen to get paid money to show up and play games in your city who are not from your city or town or even country, and yet you are putting all your hopes and dreams that they are representing you and going to battle for you, when really it's just a business. You know, but like, what happens like to the Kanye fans? Like, do they step away from him? Do they try to rationalize this or restructure it? Or is Kanye going to be going on a world tour, which will only encompass Kentucky, West Virginia, and like central Pennsylvania now?
I think they try to rationalize it.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to rationalize it, and eventually this is all just going to fade away, and it'll be like, oh, his new album's amazing.
Yeah, he's a genius.
And then
we'll forgive it all.
He'll go away for a while, and then whatever.
It'll be his MAGA
and
phase.
And then in like 2020, he'll run for president or some stupid shit, and then everybody will be like, oh, Kanye is back.
Well, he'll get all the Trump voters now. So,
yeah.
One thing about the right wing,
he won't get the Trump vote.
The right wing loves to shit all over Hollywood and celebrity and fame, but they're so desperate. The second that one person looks at them,
Roseanne or somebody,
or a Baldwin.
But you know what? Roseanne's another person she's done and said some despicable things, but you know, I don't.
Pizzagate.
I don't think her. I know, and that's terrible. But I mean, I don't think her show's bad per se. I don't.
You know what? I also hold special space for like comedians, I think, and writers, but especially writers of comedy. I feel like, if anything, the soul of their job is to just stir shit, make us think about stuff.
It's in them.
Yeah,
I think because you got Laurie Metcalf and Judd Goodman there, is there like liberal beard?
I think that helps. Well, speaking of heroes and fandom and fighting the good fight,
Segue.
the Infinity War began.
Yeah.
And
All
where
4
were
hours
you?
and 20
Where
minutes.
were you when it all ended, Sean?
Playa Vista.
Really?
Yeah.
I was in Burbank.
Yeah. Well, those are going to be, that is the Verdun and Pascal of the Infinity War.
So we want to talk about Infinity War now, Nicky. You have not seen Infinity War.
I have not seen.
But you plan to.
Yes, of course.
But you said we could just spoil shit.
I love spoilers. I know that's terrible, but I love them.
You want see? I would if I was on someone's podcast and they're like, we're going to spoil Infinity War, I would leave the podcast.
Oh, no, I made my friend tell me about the Red Wedding, who was involved, and why I should care, so that when I watched it, I would know what the hell was going on. And it was still amazing. I guess, I don't know. I don't mind spoilers.
I know. I listened to this podcast.
Spoiler alert.
No, it's called. It's called Switchblade Sisters. Anyway, it's hosted by April Wolf, film critic, and she spoils, like, they talk about old movies, but she said, like, we're gonna get into the movie. She's like, but if you want to listen, I believe it's not, it's not about the spoil. It's about how we get there and how the story.
So you get to find out how Night of the Iguana ends.
Yeah, but if I haven't seen the movie, I skip that episode because maybe one day I will watch Night of the Iguana. Now let's
just preface this. Well, we will be spoiling Infinity War, so if you don't want us to, I don't know, skip ahead.
But you wanted to. I think you wanted us to throw some things at you, some potential spoilers, and see if they're really spoilers.
Yeah, I want to try to guess, because the thing is, I wouldn't say I'm a hardcore fan of the MCU, but I like it a lot. So I do see all the films.
Okay, so I'm going to name 3 characters, one of which does not appear in the movie, so you have to guess which one.
All right.
We're going to do 2 truths and a lie.
I love this
on
game.
this. Okay.
All right.
Ant-Man, Black Widow, the Hulk.
Oh, it's got to be Ant-Man doesn't appear.
Okay, that one was easy.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I saw the movie posters.
All right. Well, you could tell. I can't tell who's on the post. He's tiny. You could be there.
Oh, that's true. Oh, that could have been a trick question.
Okay.
Okay, which of these characters? It could be more. It could be which of these characters
All right.
dies in the film? I'm gonna name.
So it is confirmed some of them will die.
I'm gonna name 5 characters. I'm gonna name 5 of them.
Ooh, 5. Okay.
And you tell me which
All right.
ones live and which ones die.
All right.
All right. Iron Man.
Die.
Captain America.
Okay. Iron Man, Captain America.
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Black Panther. Loki.
Oh, Loki. I feel like I love Tom Hiddleston and I love his portrayal, but I'm done with Loki. I think Loki has run his course. I don't care what the truth is. I want Loki to finally be dead for real at last.
Okay.
I feel like he's come back too many times that we just need to get rid of him in order to let his legacy have meaning. You know what I mean?
Okay. Who else from that group? What do you think?
I felt like Iron Man would die. He was the first movie that launched
10 years
the MCU,
now, yeah.
And Robert Downey Jr. has been very much like a flagship cast member. I think it would be really impactful for him to die in this movie.
How about Captain America? You think he lives or dies?
You know what? I think he lives.
Okay.
I think he lives. Because you know what? I think that he kind of has a death wish. And I think it would be poetic for him never to get it.
How about Black Panther?
No, because he's got another movie coming out.
And how about Spider-Man?
Oh, he just got a new... Nah, he lives. Spider-Man's got to live too.
Loki does die.
He does.
But so
real?
does Black Panther and Spider-Man. What is happening? What is happening? Iron Man and Captain America live to fight another battle in the Infinity War. And again, your jaw has dropped. Now, okay,
Now you can do it again.
This is like meta-ing the meta. Like, I'd be like...
Okay, how about of these three characters, how many of them die?
All right.
Scarlet Witch,
Scarlet Witch.
Black Widow, Gamora. How many of these three
Ladies of
FYI, I just have to say, why is it that the only women superheroes in this universe have to be redheads? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a redhead. I'm a fake redhead, but I love being a redhead. But like, they couldn't, give someone. I mean, I guess Gamora's got an ombre thing going on, so it's different. Anyway, okay. I feel like Gamora should die. Because, not should, I love her, but I feel like the Guardians as a whole team, they need to feel emotional impact. So, in order for them to be wrapped in the story, one of them's got to get hurt or something, right?
Okay.
Black Widow always escapes. Like, she's underused, and she always escapes. And I just think it does a disservice.
And how about Scarlet Witch?
Scarlet Witch. Oh, she gotta die. I feel like as her powers are OP, but her ability to be effective is like totally underwhelming.
You got all this one right. Oh! Okay, clearly now we got to talk about the film itself a little bit. But clearly, there's a lot of people fucking dying in this movie.
Okay.
Now,
Oh my God.
here's the caveat.
Yeah.
Clearly, some of these people will be brought back to life.
There are
somehow.
some there are like some real deaths, and then there are some like disappears into the ether depths.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
it's not like literal, like...
well, they're dead.
No, there's some are like dead.
Some are brutally killed, like Loki, and then some just because. Okay, so the whole idea of this movie is, and this is why I kind of love this movie, because Thanos wants to collect the Infinity Stones.
He's on a fetch quest.
Yes.
And once he has all of them, they say, because he doesn't. This is what I love about the Thanos character. He doesn't want to rule the galaxy. He just wants to kill half the people in the galaxy because he thinks it'll bring balance to it, and then he could go retire and live on a farm.
He's a Malthusian.
How does he choose the half?
It's
That's
random.
a lot of...
It's random.
What? That is such flawed logic.
This is his thing. And early in the film, they said once he has those Infinity Stones, he just snap his fingers and half the galaxy will disappear.
Gets leftovered.
And I didn't know they were being literal because when he gets the thing, he snaps his fingers and all of a sudden, Black Panther just fades away into ash.
Oh my... what?
Yeah, Spider-Man turns into ash.
The villain wins.
Yeah.
That's like the Deus Ex Machina of like everything since the special effects was able to do that particle separation thing, like where like someone bursts into birds or someone bursts into coins or whatever. But that seems so cheap. This is like part 1 of 4 or something, right?
This is part one of two.
Two. Oh, okay.
And this one ends with Thanos
Sitting
winning.
on his farm.
But that's what I think is kind of both, like when I was watching the theater, like I knew there would be deaths, but all of a sudden you see these characters start to disappear, and these characters in my theater had visceral reactions, like, what?
Oh, yeah, it's like, calm down, Black Panther's not going anywhere.
Yeah, his movie made $1 billion. He will be back. But I also think this
We
was,
don't need another race riot.
also I think what this
Black
is,
Panther's coming back.
I also think it was very smart because there are a lot of characters here.
Yeah.
And clearly the next movie is going to be I think the next movie is going to have legit stakes, and I think either Iron Man or Captain America, in order to bring everybody else back, will have to sacrifice their lives.
This is Kevin Feige. Mm-hmm. This is Kevin Feige going to all the actors in his fucking stable of superheroes and be like, all right, you want in for another 5 years? We're renegotiating contracts. We don't need any of you to come back, But listen, Spider-Boy, you're not going to be cute forever,
But I think it's smart to, like, in the next movie they're getting.
I got Trembly on the back burner here in case you don't want to come back.
They're kind of getting back to basics, though. They're kind of getting back to the people from the original Avengers movie who are going to have to fix this problem, bring back all the new Avengers who will then take over all the films from after there, because let's face it, we're not, even if they don't die, we're not getting more Iron Man movies. We're not getting more Captain America movies. There's going to be a new Captain America either way.
You know what else is going to be happening? Disney's buying Fox, so there's going to be Silver Surfers and Galactuses and X-Men and Fantastic Four that can now get brought into all this.
Oh, wow.
Also, I think they find a way to bring back Gamora, because she died in service of getting the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Okay, so that's the only stone that we didn't know about before this movie,
Yes.
right? Is it revealed what it is in this movie and how to get it?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
You
want me to tell him?
Spoil it for me!
They got to deal with Mr. Smith.
Yeah, Red Skull is back.
Oh, I thought he got, like, obliterated.
No, he got zapped to another planet,
Oh, that's
which is where the
right.
Soul Stone is.
As we find out in this movie.
And Thanos, early in the film,
Way to bring it back around.
early in the film, Thanos ends up capturing Gamora when the Guardians try to kill Thanos.
Okay.
And
Gamora, who's his adopted daughter.
actually,
Right.
actually, the Gamora storyline is the most emotional storyline in the thing. That's the thing that I most emotionally connect to in this film.
Yeah.
Doctor Strange and Iron Man really did it for me. The goatee off.
And then both Sherlock Holmeses.
Yeah.
Oh, fucking hell.
And someone tweeted that not having Star-Lord say to them, "No shit, Sherlocks," was a big missed opportunity.
I think it still do it.
But what ends up happening is, in order to get the Soul Stone, you have to... The stone needs a sacrifice, but it has to be someone you love. And Gamora's like... Well, this joke's on you, Thanos. You don't love anyone. You're just such a piece of shit. But Thanos loves one person, and it's Gamora.
Oh, how
And
tragic.
Kanye West, actually, big twist. Yeah, I suppose he started pumping College Dropout.
And he has to go. But I think because of that, because she died in service of Soul Stone, I think there's a way to bring her back. The question is, will she come back in the next movie or in Guardians 3?
Someone's been spending too much time on the Reddit boards for this. By the way, do you think Trump would get the Soul Stone by pushing Ivanka off the cliff?
That's the only one he could.
Yeah.
That's the only one he loves. Yeah.
What about self-sacrifice? Some people, I feel like, love themselves more than anything else.
Yeah, but then you can't get the Soul Stone.
Yeah, it's not going to do...
But if your theory is right and Gamora is somehow not, destroyed, right? If her soul is powering the Soul Stone, right?
Yes.
Could there be like a replacement thing where, if it transfers to another owner, the previous sacrifice can somehow be released?
I don't know all the rules of Soul Stone, but I like where your head's at. I also like where your head was at with your Loki logic, because that's almost exactly what it is in the movie. It's almost like passing a torch of villainy in the movie.
Because he was always, like, after the first couple movies, he was just like, he was a hero until the end when, like, he had to remember that he was the bad guy. The best thing I saw today was someone tweeted, it's the Friends logo. You know how there's colored dots in between each of the letters?
Yes.
It goes, the Infinity Stones were hiding in plain sight this whole time. Because the colors of the dots in the Friends logo are the same colors as the
I'll
Infinity
be
Stones.
there for you.
Yeah.
I by the way, we didn't even get this because we're having so much fun spoiling a movie. Because I never spoil movies for someone.
Oh my
This
god,
was
I
fun.
love being spoiled.
I'm
It just
just-
makes me want to see it more now.
But I loved the film. I thought it was a ton of fun.
I'm going to see it again, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a ton of fun. It's for a film that hits some dark places, it's very funny.
Yeah.
And
You had the same problem you had where people were laughing so hard they were laughing over the lines.
yeah. So I'm gonna see
So
it
it's like
again
Archer.
also.
You got to go like 10 a.m. like on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one there in that theater laughing.
But it's I think it was an amazing balancing act, because I think almost everybody gets at least a moment to shine in this film.
That was sort of the miracle of the movie. But Will, it felt like an episode of a TV show. I don't know who these people are.
Okay, this is what's driving me crazy. And we even have friends like this who are like,
Listen, Richard Brody.
the
It's called
episodic
DVDs. It's called Netflix even.
I would say this movie stands alone less than any of the Marvel movies, but the Marvel movies are all, yes, there's an ongoing story, but within each of them, there's also a single
Yeah, but
story.
Black Panther kind of is its own thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for how his dad died.
Exactly. That's what, there are little things, but you could, if you've never seen a Marvel movie, you put in Black Panther, you're not going to be lost unless you're an idiot, which you might be.
Hey, is that a relic of like because I'm not a big comics fan, but is that like a relic of comic storytelling, where it's like you do these crossovers or introduce characters in smaller roles, and then
and that's the thing.
I like that. Then it's like honoring the sort of culture.
$300 million issue of a comic book.
People have complained like, oh, there's no character. Well, first of all, there's character development for Thanos in this movie, certainly, and
you need it for a villain to make them interesting.
The other 18 movies were the character development. I don't want to have to get into the character development of Iron Man again because I already know about Iron Man. And the point you made to two of our snotty friends, our snobby friends about this was a correct one, Sean. When, oh my God, I was so busy complimenting you about your good point. I forgot what the point was.
I don't remember what the point was.
The point you made about that. Oh, is that they saw all the origin movies and got like, I'm tired of all these origin stories. You never see an origin story anymore. You know why? Because we know all the characters now, and now they're on cool adventures that we like. Yeah. So shut up.
Well, and if anything, the joy is...
Captain Marvel origin story coming to theaters.
That's fine.
Next spring.
Because I don't know anything about Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You know, I have a question.
Stuck in room.
Wasn't... Oh, wait, no, never mind.
Okay.
All right.
I answered my own question before I answered it. But, you know, to the point of the origins and these, I guess, more ensemble ones, for me, the payoff, it's just like two sides of the same coin. It's like, which one am I watching today? But, like, ultimately, do I get to know someone new? Or do I get to see how the people I know interact with one another? I mean, like, for me, the Civil War was so interesting because I'm just like, wait, I see how they would do that. Okay, I see how they would be on that side. And then some of them, I'm just like... Well, I had like half a movie to get to know you. I don't care what side you're on. Or I'm like, oh, well, you're OP.
And why is Spider-Man here?
Right.
But it's the same way.
Because there's a Spider-Man movie
we all
coming
know
out.
about Uncle
But that's
Ben.
the thing. Like, I'm so glad Spider-Man didn't do an origin story again. How many Uncle Bens have to die? All right. We are running long, so I'm going to move on to complain about my life. And let me tell you what. Everywhere I go, they're fucking with me. They are fucking with my life, and I don't like it. So, first of all, you know, there's a lot of changes at my job, lots of new things coming in, new things to work on. It's throwing off the usual balance of where, like, I do some work and I could breathe for a second. No, now I gotta work constantly. It's very frustrating. Change at the job. Then, you know, my iPhone, for a long time, wanted me to change the operating system. They wanted me to, download the new operating system. And I put it off for about 4 months. And then finally, a bunch of my apps stopped working because they changed. The apps changed. And I'm like, shit, I have to download this thing. And then guess what happens? After I download this stupid thing, the battery drains. Drains in seconds. I'll be on the phone for like 5 minutes, and all of a sudden I'm down to like 85% if I was at 100%. I'm like, what's happening? It's a fucking nightmare. So I had to go talk to the Apple people, who are the worst people in the world, because they know they got you by the balls. They know there's nothing you could do. But the people online were like, oh, this is a common problem with people with older phones. I bought the phone a year ago, but people with older model phones, we make you an appointment, you get a new battery, you can get it for free because it's under warranty. So, get this bullshit. I go in for my appointment to drop off my phone. They tell me 2 things in the store. They said, 1, this will not fix the problem. And 2, we are making you pay for the battery. You shouldn't, because your battery's too good already. It's too good. And I said, what are you talking about? I have a transcript of the people online. Doesn't matter. I'm like, these employees told me, they're the same fucking company. Let me get the new battery. And they're like, it's not going to help. And they fought with me until I had to yell at them. And the woman said, I could tell this is going to escalate. I will get the manager. I'm like, yeah, get the manager. Where they begrudgingly changed my battery for free. They were not happy about it. And they kept telling me this isn't going to work. And meanwhile, I heard them telling the same thing to other people. And those people leave the store. And I'm like, oh, these people are fucking liars. I gave them my phone. Guess what? They changed the battery. The phone's better. These people are a bunch of lying assholes. But the point is, why did they change the phone in the first place in the operating system? Then, after all this, After all the new things to do at work and the new phone shit, I come home. There is a notice. A strange man comes to my door and hands me a notice. And he says, the building is changing that you live in. It's under new management. New management. Now, we don't have an on-site building manager. We have to do everything through a portal. I pay my rent through a portal. I have to sign up and it automatically takes money out of my bank account. I don't trust this portal. And get this, even more, all maintenance has to go through the portal. I have to type in my window's broken, and then maybe someone will get back to me. Back in the day, you know what happened? I sent my building manager a text and say, hey, my window's broken. She goes, someone will be there tomorrow to fix it. And it's great. Done. Now I gotta fill out forms in a fucking portal. There are too many changes. I don't like change. I'm a man of habits and routine, and this is too much for me. What's next? Am I gonna have to start buying things with Bitcoin? Are they gonna take away my money? What's gonna happen? I don't like this. I like hope and change that I can believe in, but everything else, bullshit. And that's why things that are changing, or this week's entry of the podcast, go fuck yourself. I didn't ask for this. If I wanted my life to be random chaos, I'd get a girl pregnant or something like that. On that note, important announcement from the Will Sean podcast. We've been doing this podcast for about 6 years now.
Yeah.
And we have decided we're going to be in the upcoming weeks. We're gonna rework some things of the podcast. There's probably going to be some changes coming up. We're going to be trying some new things.
So good changes. We haven't quite figured out yet what it's going to be, but it's going to be more of myself and Will without guests, and we'll be usually focusing on maybe one or two things in particular, and they may not be topical what's going on in that week. Tentatively now we're thinking of an idea where we go back and look at some of our blind spots. They could be cultural, they can be entertainment-wise, they can be political, artistic. We're maybe going to do a little bit more deep dive on a few things, and then we will bring in guests when it's kind of fits with what we're doing.
Yeah, we're trying some new things. Look, after 6 years,
got to change it up.
You got to change it up. We're burnt out, man. We've been doing this a long time, so we're probably gonna go away for a little while, figure it out, and then we're gonna
brainstorm ideas, and then we're gonna drop a short episode that'll kind of tell you exactly what's coming, what to expect, and then we'll probably we're gonna try to keep the episodes regularly. We're not gonna do once a month, but it's not gonna be like clockwork the way it has been.
Yes, but you're subscribed, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
You'll see it pop up in the feed. Yes, so that long rant about change was just to show how hypocritical I'm about to be to the people who listen to this podcast. But I think the people will understand. You didn't even realize this, Nicky. You're on a very historic episode. We're changing format. You're the last of the old
traditional
format.
guests.
Well, I am honored as someone who identifies as trans to have helped you in your transition.
So we were going to ask, how do you deal with change? And realize, you've probably dealt with quite a bit of change, way more than us.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of zen about it, but it's an artsy sort of improv sort of thing for me. It's that yes and attitude from improv. It's like you said though, there are different kinds of change. There are the changes that are forced upon you that feel very violent because you weren't even given notification.
Right. Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And then there's just sort of technological progress where it's this is probably going to be efficient for more people than it is inefficient, but it's the learning curve that can be onerous, especially when there's not necessarily anyone there to guide or help you.
Let me tell you what, in a technological learning curve where it could be better for most people, I am 99.9% of the time in the camp where it is not more helpful.
Well, I didn't say better, I said more efficient.
Okay, that's true.
That's business speak right
well,
there.
Well, in the end, I'm not an economist or anything, but I do think that economies, whether they be virtual or currency based, really kind of underscore a lot of the change that happens, right?
You're pushing that Bitcoin now.
Oh, I don't even even know what that is.
That would be
I feel
Nicky
like
coin.
I need to go YouTube that. Or
You know what?
Google
Watch
it
the
or
movie
whatever.
Dope. It's a very good film, and there's a whole Bitcoin scam in that movie, which is really weird.
Wait, Dope, the movie came out like 3 years ago?
Yeah.
Ah.
You ever see that movie?
No, it's on my like
very
Netflix.
good.
Did you watch it on
film.
Netflix?
Very funny.
Okay.
And it's about like a Bitcoin scam. It's really weird.
Okay.
I like it. Speaking of weird,
Sold.
speaking of weird,
Oh, that's a good one, people.
we always like to end on a weird note, and you should know, Nicky, the Fajita Bandit has not only been captured, but has been sentenced to 50 years in prison for his decade-long fajita scheme.
Yeah.
Gilberto Escamilla would order fajita meat for the juvenile detention center where he worked, but then he would intercept the shipments, bring them home, and sell the fajita meat on, I guess, the fajita black market. He had a fajita meat fence. He was selling this meat. And then one day he wasn't at work, and a shipment of 800 pounds of fajita meat showed up. And the woman working there was confused, saying the prison did not serve fajitas. And the driver was confused because he had been delivering fajita meat to that prison for 9 years. It is estimated that the Fajita Bandit made almost $1.2 million in stolen fajita meat. Holy fuck, we're in the wrong business. I did not know there's that much money in fajita meat.
Can we say that 50 years seems a little excessive?
I love how they were non.
You're right. 50 years.
I gotta go back and check that article. 50 years. I mean, I get it. He was stealing government funds.
Are you sure this isn't a typo?
I don't know. Maybe 5 years? 50 years is like, was this his third strike and you're out? That's
50 years.
what do you do? What are you doing here, the Fajita Bandit?
50. I mean, Cosby's gonna get less. Like 50 years.
Don't steal government funds.
You know, of all the strange and wonderful things in that report, one question is nagging my brain more than anything else. Why did they say fajita meat instead of just telling us what kind of meat comprises?
I would assume it maybe is some sort of spiced ground beef. So maybe it's like
Alright.
pre-spiced ground beef. I don't know. It's just ground beef.
I like chicken fajitas, so I'm for whatever
you
reason
know what?
it's
I would-
nagging my brain.
I would go for a chicken fajita over beef too.
So clearly this article does not have the information that we require.
The essential, like what?
I mean, maybe it
kind
was
of
a mix
fajita?
I'm gonna have to do a LexisNexis like news search for Fajita Bandit. See if we can
The
call it.
Fajita Bandit. Well, they had once they dubbed him the Fajita Bandit, they had to keep saying fajita as much as possible. Which
Well,
is why
that's it. You got that's hashtag branding.
I don't know. This guy's fucking
If
great.
you-
I also like that the article said his fans and admirers were saddened. Oh, we're the Fajita Bandit. It's not like,
By the way, he's gonna show up in Infinity War 2.
but it's like it's not like the Fajita Bandit was some folk hero who was running around that he had fame. He wasn't like Robin
Or
but
Zorro.
He would steal fajita meat from the rich and give it to the poor.
And I want to know who is his guy that he was selling, maybe to like a food distributor, I would imagine. But like, who's his fajita meat fence?
The fajita fence?
Yeah, the fajita fence.
You know,
How does that conversation start? You know, I got government issue grade A- suitable for consumption meat.
You know, the very first script
Yeah.
I ever wrote, like feature-length script I
Yeah.
ever wrote, was something, and this was like I was a teenager still, and I wrote it with our good friend Jared Garcia. It was called The Taco Banditos, and it was about a bunch of guys who went around robbing a Taco Bell-esque fast food chain and became like kind of weirdo folk heroes.
I think you should resurrect that. It's not a bad idea.
It's not the worst thing
It's
ever.
not. Throw in some sort of ancient curse, and you got a Blumhouse movie.
And on that,
They awaken some sort of chupacabra or something.
And on that note, Nicky, thank you so much for coming on the show.
This was wonderful.
This was great.
Yeah.
Tell the people one more time where they can find you. You got a Twitter handle?
Yeah, I do, and I have forgotten it.
Okay.
So I don't use Twitter.
Okay.
I don't know what. So I started using Insta though.
Okay, I can put your Instagram handle in the or what's your Instagram handle? Actually?
It is the masculine version of my name, which is Nick at Nick Endres. No, that's just it. Just right because Twitter handles are just
Yeah.
I
We'll
I
specify
swear
it.
I'm cool. I'm just some of this social media. I'm an introvert, so sometimes it's a large learning curve for me to to learn.
We'll be tweeting all this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Sean,
But I appreciate any attention.
You can follow me on both Twitter and Instagram at the Sean David, and you should follow me in those places.
and you can follow me on Twitter at The Real Will Link. You know,
You got a show coming up.
I got a show coming up on May 21st. I'm doing a show, Hate Date. So that should be fun. And that's at the 3 Clubs, I think. And I'll be tweeting about that. And I am also my other podcast, No Love Lost, which is where we go back and recap the television series Lost. That will be starting very soon.
So as
you
someone
can
who didn't-
follow.
Do you have to watch Lost to enjoy the podcast? Or can you just listen blind?
Well, if you like me, you might enjoy it without watching Lost. But you could follow us on Twitter. I believe we're at No Love Lost Pod.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. Anyway, it's me. I love Lost unconditionally. I loved it all. And my co-host Megan, who loved it at first and then grew to hate it. And we yell. And it is a show designed for people who have kind of watched the series, because she'll go, I'll say in an episode 2, it was brilliant because they set up this thing that pays off in the final season. She goes, it's bullshit because they had set up this thing that turned out to be bullshit. And I'm like, it's
So you guys like the Hannity and Combs of Lost podcasts?
Yeah, and what I didn't realize when I started this was, oh shit, I've just signed up for 120 episodes or something. So that's going to be fun.
So on that note, keep posted. We're going to tweet about updates. We will probably release a short mini episode, which will lay out probably what the next episode is going to be. And if we do decide that we're going to watch some specific movies or read a book or, go back and watch something or think of, or whatever it is, we'll let you know in advance so you can kind of, we're giving you, maybe there's some homework and you can join us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on that note, Nicky, thank you so much
Thank you.
for the Will Sean Podcast. I'm Sean David.
I'm Will Link.
We're finished.
We're finished.